Welcome to a recap of the first few books that I have read for this year in the month of January. My name is Hannah and let's just jump into it. This year started out on a really good note. I read the book Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, An Indian History of the American West by D. Brown. And this book felt so relevant and current, and it was a bunch of first-person sources that had been meticulously researched and compiled into what happened with all of these different tribes of Native Americans across the American continent, and how they had their land stolen from them, and the wars and the negotiations and all that went into that. And it was heartbreaking and it felt so relevant, and I was shocked to find out that this book was actually written in 1970. It just has held up very, very well, and it's just a really amazing overview to really understand a lot of what happened during this time period. I feel like it's necessary. Like, this book is a necessary book. If you live, especially in the United States, this, really illustrates a lot in the history of the US, and I feel like it might be a necessary read for a lot of people. It was amazing, engaging. It followed lots of different tribes and kind of went through all the first-person accounts and these atrocities and these tricks that were played on people and the fights and it was very all-encompassing. It uses council records, autobiographies, first-hand descriptions, and just the sourcing on this is just excellent, and so you really get a very interesting picture. It is shocking to read first-hand accounts of just some of the brutality and atrocities that were committed during this time, and it's just heartbreaking. I mean, there were points that I had to just stop and think, I can't wrap my head around this level of dehumanization or this level of barbaric behavior or things like that. And it was just surprising. It dispelled a lot of myths that I feel like I was taught in school. It really was a very necessary book. So I highly recommend this one if you would like to learn any more about different Native Americans in the US, especially with the white colonizers and what happened during that time period. This is an excellent place to start. I read Whereabouts by Jhumpa Lahiri, and I am sure I butchered that name, so sorry. I did not like this book though. It is talking about a woman, and she's talking about her current life and what is happening, and honestly, nothing happens in this book. This book was translated from Italian, and I think you read it for the slow, beautiful literary language, but nothing happened. I really can't even describe a plot because nothing happened in this book, and I just didn't really get anything out of it, so I don't recommend this one. And I just got to the end and thought, what was that book even about? So I wasn't a huge fan. This is a pass for me. Okay, let me just read the description for the book Whereabouts, and you can tell me if I should have known that nothing happened in this book. It says, exuberance and dread, attachment and estrangement. In this novel, the woman at the center wavers between stasis and movement, between the need to belong and the refusal to form lasting ties. The city she calls home, an engaging backdrop to her days, acts as confidant. The sidewalks around her house, parks, bridges, piazzas, streets, stores, coffee bars. We follow her to the pool she frequents and to the train station that sometimes leads her to her mother, mired in a desperate solitude after her father's untimely death. Nothing happens. The end of the thing is, one day at the sea, both overwhelmed and replenished by the sun's vital heat, her perspective will change. Yeah, nothing happens plot-wise in this book at all. All right, but jumping back into my 5-star nonfiction, I loved the book American Sherlock, Murder Forensics and the Birth of American CSI by Kate Winkler Dawson. Now, this was a fun book. It very much gave me Sherlock Holmes vibes, but all of it was true. So this is talking about the true story of Edward Oscar Heinrich, and he developed a lot of different like CSI type things, and he helped solve a lot of cases, and was used in a lot of different murder trials and such. And so this went through the different cases and his different methods, and also kind of the lasting consequences to some of those, like, were his methods actually very accurate? Was he using kind of pseudoscience, or were they actually very scientific and very rigorous? And what does that mean for our current use of forensics in crime scene investigation? And I thought it was super interesting and very much the true crime kind of story that I like to read, because it didn't focus so much on the sensational murders as much as the detective work that goes into it, and I thought that was really fun. It really did give me Sherlock Holmes vibes, which obviously is what it was going for, but it was all true and very informative, and I learned so much. So I do recommend this if you like true crime, Sherlock Holmes, or you just want to learn a little bit about like some of the history of forensic science. This is definitely for you. For a light but fun read, I really did enjoy the book Naturally Tan by Tan France. Now, if you have not watched Queer Eye, I don't know if you would really enjoy this book. I think this book is delightful if you are a fan of Queer Eye and you already know who Tan France is and you want to read a little bit about his life and hear some opinions on what you should and shouldn't wear and all those kinds of things. Then read this book. I 100% enjoyed my time with it. Now, if you have never watched Queer Eye and you don't know who Tan France is, does this book stand alone on its own as a worthwhile memoir or anything? No, not really, but it was fun. It was fun for what it was, and I did enjoy it. My husband and I just binge watched the latest season of Queer Eye, and this was just a really fun little companion piece to go along with that. So, I mean, if you've watched it, you might like this as well. Oh, and a little PS, a long time ago I did read Jonathan Van Ness's book he's also from Queer Eye, and that's maybe a little bit better of a standalone memoir. His life was very interesting and he had some deep thoughts on it, but I still did enjoy Naturally Tan as well. And those are the first few books that I have read this month. I have another few that I am going to read in the next couple weeks, so I'm sure I will be back with another video soon. If you have any thoughts on these books, please let me know, as well as any recommendations you have for the new year. My reading list, I realized it's like down to 3 books. I'm kind of struggling to find more books, so please send any my way, and I will see you all on the next one.